Sean Baker is back, baby.
I'm back.
Anora, a young stripper from Brooklyn, meets and impulsively marries a young son of a Russian oligarch. When news of the marriage reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as his parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled.
Will you marry me?
Seriously?
Seriously.
3 carats.
What about 4?
You hit the lotto, bitch.
I have really enjoyed his movies over the years. I have been a fan of his since Tangerine came out almost 10 years ago at this point. That movie definitely inspired me and gave me a lot of inspiration to shoot my own film and make my own movies, and the fact that it was shot like on a phone and street guerrilla style of filmmaking for an indie flick. I love Sean Baker. And then I really enjoyed The Florida Project and really enjoyed Red Rocket, one of my favorite films of when that year came out. And so I was really anticipating Anora. So did this movie live up to the hype? Yes. Absolutely it did. I was absolutely floored with this movie. It feels like Sean Baker has been making this kind of movie throughout his career, and this film is the culmination of all those years of practice. It's like his masterpiece.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
I loved this flick. This is such a great thrill ride, so intoxicating and enticing of a movie, yet sad and depressing while also being exciting. It's nice to see that I'm not the only one who loves Sean Baker's work. Like, it feels like finally everyone is kind of seeing him arrive on scene, even though he's been here for quite some time. Kind of the peak of his powers and his abilities is on full display in this flick. This movie is so well directed, so well written, edited, and that's all from Sean Baker himself. I think he is a great filmmaker. This should definitely be an Oscar contender for Best Director for him. The dialogue is snappy and sharp and so bombastic at times. It's really intense and intimidating as well. The language, the dialogue, the accents that are kind of portrayed throughout this film. I just loved how this movie felt, and that came from the writing. This is definitely a character piece, and I love that he really focuses on that. And at the center of this movie, of that character piece, is Mikey Madison as Anora. She is so good in this movie and really has to commit to this very strong, heavy, complicated, and yet charming role of Anora. And I thought Mikey Madison was just perfect for this. Like, this woman deserves an Oscar nomination. If she isn't nominated for an Academy Award for Best Performance, I will be so pissed off.
I'm so freaking pissed.
She was just incredible and brought so much, not just like heavy-handed emotion, but she's hilarious in this movie. She's charming. You cheer for this character the entire time and you just want her to come out on top. And that all comes just from a very beautiful, naturalistic, yet slightly over-the-top performance by Mikey Madison. And I loved her in this film and just knocks it out of the park. The story of this film is great. It's complicated, yet it's simple. And I love how much he uses his set pieces in this movie to really help tell the world of this story. Like the mansion and house that this movie, a lot of it takes place at, the roads of New York, the cars that they're in, the plane that they travel to. They go to Vegas. They fly back and forth. They have all these crazy scenes in these like nightclubs and stuff like that. I just love the production design of this film on top of everything else. The costumes, the soundtrack was great and really fun. The cinematography is beautiful. Like, this movie is gorgeously shot. The way that he filmed like the party atmosphere that this movie gives off, but also in the second half, like how he changes like the tone from like the lights and the visuals to a more like subdued and kind of depressing tone by the end of the film and just where the story goes. I loved the contrast that he has in this movie, and it's fantastic to look at. I just loved watching this film. There's been images in this movie that have been kind of seared into my brain now. The tone is tense and it is thrilling and it is scary at times and it's like pulse pounding, but yet it's got this really kind of funny, wacky, dark humor at the center of it. And so I was laughing the whole time, really entertaining, and it just had a nice propulsive momentum throughout this entire film. Hilarious, delightfully delusional, raw, humble, realistic look at like the working class of America, sex workers, power dynamics, the American dream, class economics, holding on to a pipe dream, being resilient, loss of hope, and love versus lifestyle. And this is really a wild thrill ride that is equal parts like a Brooklyn Cinderella story meets Pretty Woman that would be like Pretty Woman if it was for real, and uncut gems all rolled into one movie, and I love the combination of this flick. To me, the only kind of glaring issue with this movie is that it's too long. There's for sure about 5 to 6 scenes throughout this movie that could have been trimmed down by 2-3 minutes each. And there's certain moments that, yes, while it reveals character, I don't know if it ultimately led anything to the overall story. And we spend a bit too much time, especially at the beginning, having the setup and like the wild ride of this like romance and this marriage and stuff like that. I wanted to get more to the second half of the film a lot quicker, because that's really where the intensity of this movie comes from. And it took a while to get going at times. But really, if that's like my biggest complaint about this film, I mean, this movie then has to be amazing, and I really truly think it is. I just had such a blast in the theater. Before I give my final thoughts and grade on this film, if you like this video, make sure you click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Also, while you're down there, comment down below. What did you think of Anora? Were you excited to see the Sean Baker film? Do you think Mikey Madison should be nominated for an Oscar? What is your favorite Sean Baker movie? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this movie. For me, Anora, this is probably in my top 10 favorite films of 2024. So overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give Anora an A. If you like this video, come back and check out some other movie reviews such as Conclave, Venom: The Last Dance, and Smile 2. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next film.